Okay guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to have a tutorial with a introduction with a chapter 1 of the CCNA 1. So let's start. Chapter 1 is all about exploring the network. Then Mention. This chapter introduced the platform of data networks upon which our social and business relationship increasingly depend. Then the material says the group work for exploring the services, technologies, and issues encountered by network professionals as they design and build a maintain the modern network. So let's continue. So as we start, in chapter 1, we have the networks in daily life. So uh, networks identifies in our daily life because nowadays network is very important, especially for the internet network, because many people depends on the internet nowadays. So it is so important that the connectivity or the connection is still upgrading and still maintaining its framework. Then comparing the technology then and now. So as a as a millennial, I've noticed that the technology then and now is very, it's very far from each other. The technology nowadays, because the technology nowadays is so, is so advanced than the past past years or the past generation. So I think I'm lucky that I am part of this generation. So we have the exploring network. So called as exploring network. And the other part is the technology now and then. So it has many differences. For example of differences, example of the differences are, so first their speed comparison. Two, it's supported devices. And for more information, I'm going to draw it. So for example, this is the technology for the past 20 years. So it is the past 20 years. So it is from past 20 years, and now this is the technology in our present age. So in this case, I can compare that the how big the difference of the technology in the present generation than the past generation. As you can see here, from its logical form, that there's a bigger difference between their capacity and size and coverage. So it is so important that we use technology in our daily lives. Then that's for my description, and it's for no boundaries. Technology is no boundary because, example, this is the technology, and there's the technology of the present age. So as you can see, there's no boundaries between them, because what is on this technology in this generation is also used with this generation, but it is just improved and enhanced. So even though they are different with their capacity and speed, but we can rely that they are connected, because they are just reanimate or revise, or can be improved. So it is no boundaries with that technology. So let's go find activity with chapter 1. Activity with this chapter. So we can answer it. So here our first activity. So here's our first activity. We're going to drag the specific or the description of each devices, which is end devices, intermediary devices, and the network media. So end devices provides an interface between the human and the network. Then the intermediary devices provides provides a connectivity and ensures that data flows across the network, and the network media provides a channel for message to travel network. So it's correct. As you can see, it is correct. So for explanation for this, so as an explanation for this, for example, this is my device. Then this device is used by the or utilized by the person or people. It is utilized by people. They use the devices or these devices, and these devices is connected with the what we call intermediary devices. For example, of intermediary devices, we have the switch and router. It is needed in order to remain the connection of the devices. So the end devices are used by the people, and the people it is uses as interface, or they are the passage through of the message. Then through network intermediary devices, it is passed. Then we have what we call the network media, which is we have wireless, we have the fiber, and the copper wires. So this is used in order to transfer the data here in the end devices coming from the person who used it. Then it will be transferred to the intermediary devices in order to be in order to set it where it's going to go. Then from the network media from the intermediary devices, it will be sent through wireless through copper and through optic fibers. So that is the representation for this, or the logical representation of the network components. Okay, let's go for the next activity. So here's our next activity. So we have the what we call network architecture requirements. So we have the fault tolerance, scalability, the quality of service, and the security. So as part of this, so for example, is the what we call security. Then as it's secured, no one can pass through it, even if you are if you are authorized, you can pass through this security. Then if you are not recognized, you will remain the outside of the security, and you won't be able to bypass or utilize what inside in the secure part of the network. So it is part of network architecture requirements. Then we have what we call the quality of service. So this point, this is the representation of the quality of service here. So if your service is having its what we call quality, it assures it has the assurance that it can be long last, or can be more efficient, it can be helpful for a long time. So that is for the quality of service and scalability. So this scalability, this is what we call the so for example, it is the network, then it is the end users, and another end user here, another end user here. So the scalability pertains it should always be available in order to connect each and every one devices on the network, or in a more efficient way, it should be accessible, and that's although it's free, but it could be more accessible with the user in order to make it more efficient and more reliable, also reliable, and having its used and must be utilized. Then we have what we call the fault tolerance. So another representation here. So for example, this is the data that need to be delivered. Then you have what we call ways. So this is the first way, then you have the second way, and this is the third way, but it will go only for one location also, but it has a different ways. So for example, this is the data that we need to send. Then accidentally that this line having trouble, so it no longer to use, and the data itself will find a way to transfer this herself or itself in the destination using different pathways. And then another, he try with this path, and again it is broken. For example, it is broken, and at his third attempt he tried again to another way. Then for that way, it is, he successfully transfers the data needed. So that is the example of a fault tolerance. So let's go for another activity to use. So this is another activity that we're going to use. So an attack which slow down or crashes equipment and programs. Then we have create a secure connection for remote workers. Then we have block unauthorized access to your network. Then network attacks that occurs on the first that vulnerability becomes known. Arbitrary code running on user devices. So I'm going to give another example for this in order to understand it more and understand it quickly. So for example, this is a firewall, and then this is your data. The data will pass through with the firewall, and the firewall will distinguish if it's requesting or accessing the right address or the right destination, and if it's not, it will be rejected. Then that's the importance of the firewall. Then we have the what we call virus and worms or Trojan horses. It has kind of a malware. So I will use another representation. So for example, this is your desktop or your PC. So the viruses this is the system unit. So the viruses, just like a worm or Trojan horses, is commonly transmitted using a USB or a flash drive. This is for example, it is a flash drive. So if this flash drive is infected and accidentally connected through a system unit, this is the system unit. So the system unit will be also infected with some malware or worms or the Trojan horses that can harm your computer and your personal data. So we have the virtual private network or the VPN. So VPN, commonly VPN is used to bypass. It is used by the workers, or the commonly used by workers for their expenses and salary. Then we have what we call denial of service. Then denial of service, it can also be example of create a source connection, then denial of service as well. So that's all, and going to find another activity. So there is no more activity, and I'm going to give the importance. This is the importance of exploring the network. So here's the first. You will know network is. Second one, you will know the types of connection. Then third one will help you to utilize more effectively. So here are the importance of exploring the network. First, we have the you will know how important a network is. So you will know how important the network in yourself, not only in yourself but with your family in your house, and also with your friends. With number two, you will know the types of connection. It is also most of the important. If even you know a network, you should know the types of connection or the connectivity of its network. Then third one is it will help you to utilize it more effectively. If you know a thing, or you know more a thing, it will give you a hint or an additional points, or even though a little in advance, that advancement that you know this network, and it will help you more to utilize it in a proper way, and you will use it in a proper way. So that's all for my tutorial. Hope you learn and understand. Thank you for watching.